just had our vinyl come out. We just got that in the mail, so that shit took like 5 months. We pulled the trigger on that in August when the album came out, and they were like, yeah, right now we're running a little bit behind. Like, we'll have it for you at end of October. So we get all these orders in, and then it's October, and I haven't even heard from anybody. And then November comes around, and they're like, oh, it's going to be first week of December. So anyway, here we are, January 5th, and there's like 7 boxes of vinyl sitting outside of my house. At this point, the album came out about 5 months ago, and so momentum for that has kind of shifted a little bit. Everything we were doing was with pre-order. My wife comes home, and there's like these 7 giant boxes of vinyl, and I'm just like, all right, well, I better do something with this, or else it doesn't move. Like, nothing tells you that's like it's not the right print. Your product isn't where you might want it to be, because there's a market for absolutely everything, man. So like, that's something that was super challenging to me, but what I had to start learning about was how to get into distros. And I was reaching out to like small record shops in all over, man. Vinyl Conflict, State of Mind Recordings picked up a couple. So those are like huge pillars for me. But like, when you're sitting on a 250 count batch of 7 boxes, like selling the vinyl like 2 or 3 at a time is good, right? You have clients. At the end of the day, like, you always want to challenge yourself and take yourself to the next level. So we were fortunate enough to connect with Jerry at Patient Zero, and he consigned from 7 boxes, it went to 4. And so now that made me feel a little bit better about everything. But what's crazy is when we first did the consignment, I had no idea how any of that stuff worked. Like, they're being your distributor. So I think you constantly get into these new tiers in the band that sometimes you don't know how to navigate. But like, I never thought that I'd be hustling my own vinyl, trying to get it into stores. Have these like big labels that are taking their records and like putting it at the front. And if you think about like, you go to a record shop, if you still go to record stores, how big is that metal and hardcore section? That big, and like court order, like you're trying to get yourself sandwiched right in between like Converge, like Code Orange, Converge, and like court order, and then like, I don't know what, like Deftones right behind it, you know what I mean? Like how much real estate they really have. And so all of a sudden you start to shift a little bit. It's like, oh my God, like how am I going to compete with that? And granted, like shows help with that. You need that tangible product. That's something that, you start to find like, wow, this is like really, like 18 months ago, I was like the drummer in this band. Now I have 7 boxes of vinyl that I'm trying to clean out and like connect with distributors to get the album on the shelf. It definitely evolves, but like it's so easy to beat yourself up over that when you don't see them necessarily moving. I mean, I consider that a success. Like, we cleaned out about 100 units in the first week that we got the vinyl, and like that made me feel really good. But I'm still sitting at like 160 of them. What's the hustle behind that? Like, how do you continue to push that stuff when the record came out in August? So, you just continue to challenge yourself. I think that's kind of what's really cool about this. Like, not only has it made me like a better person working with a team, it's kind of made me a little bit more of like have a business mindset with how we promote and like the value that we put into things. Because I know that this album that we're working on now, like now that I know how much we spent on print ads and new noise and decibel and the videos that we shot with Kurt at Serious Cinema, like now I know that like if we're going to go in and we're going to end up spending all this money on these visuals and these like, and the marketing budget of it all, and then like have to put it, the mindset into how do we distribute it all, like you definitely don't want to just write a crap track that you just came up with super quick. You definitely want to spend time, but then you get into the how much time do we spend on it? Like, did we spend too much time? So it's kind of this fine line with all this stuff, but there's some people out there that are struggling to find a hobby, or bands out there that, are still like writing their first song or still getting it mixed. There's so much to be done, like beyond that I think that, the best advice that I have is just like, keep going. There's always the next design, and then once you're done with that album and that campaign, well, like I mentioned earlier, here comes the new invoices for the next one. It's kind of cool how it like evolves for you and like all the different things that can happen from it. Don't be hard on yourself when things might not work out the way that they do. I think sometimes just like the work itself is the reward, right? Like having a vinyl to even put into stores and like even thinking of my product as this tangible item that I'm like, how do I compete with that shelf space, right? I mean, once you start to like really understand like the marketing mindset of things, there's such a small, like the music's paramount, right? Because I think like you can come out with a single and it can completely destroy barriers. People may have never even heard of that band before, and that can completely take it there. But I think there's a subconscious aesthetic to the whole thing that I think shouldn't be ignored. We made it. It's a little bit late, so I'm probably in trouble. I got that feeling like I just showed up. And got it. All right. Cool, man. So let's do this. Appreciate you guys coming along for the ride. After a long day at the studio, we had JJ take us all the way over.
We filming this now?
To the fucking train station. Now we're taking the train into the city, and then we're gonna Uber our way back to Queens so we can take these guys home who've been working with us all damn day. So, and look who we got. Look who we got. We got baby boy himself. The Court Order HC. Check us out.